Well, well, look at you. Not broken, not begging, not bowed. That's what makes you dangerous. See, most people only know how to deal with the version of you that needed love, the version that still explained itself, the version that gave second chances like candy, the version that kept saying, maybe they didn't mean it like that, the version that stayed soft, even when the world came at you with knives hidden behind smiles. But that version of you, it got educated, not in some classroom, not by some podcast, not by some fake guru with perfect teeth and a rented lifestyle. No. Life put your face against the pavement and said, learn. And you did. That's the part they don't understand. They still think you're made of the same mercy they abused. They still think your silence means confusion. They still think your patience means weakness. They still think your kindness means they can keep pushing, keep testing, keep crossing lines and calling it a misunderstanding. But something changed in you. Not all at once. That would have been too easy. It happened slowly, quietly, painfully. It happened every time you got done dirty and had to act normal the next day. It happened every time you were losing your mind inside, but still had to answer, I'm good, with a straight face. It happened when the people you would have bled for started moving funny. It happened when loyalty stopped being mutual. It happened when you realized some people don't love you. They love access to you. Access to your heart. Access to your energy. Access to your forgiveness. Access to the version of you that kept absorbing damage just to keep the peace. And once you saw that, really saw it, there was no going back, because awareness changes a person. The moment you stop romanticizing disrespect, your whole spirit shifts. The moment you stop calling betrayal a lesson in patience and start calling it what it is, your eyes get colder. The moment you realize not everyone deserves your softness, your whole presence changes. That's when you started becoming the kind of person people feel before they understand. You ever walk into a room and nobody says anything but something in the air changes? Yeah, that's not confidence from a quote on social media. That's not fake toughness. That's not performance. That's consequence. That's what happens when somebody has suffered enough to stop playing with themselves. That's what happens when somebody has cried their last secret cry and decided, never again. That's what happens when somebody finally understands that being too available to the wrong people is self-destruction with a smile on your face. You became heavy, not in a broken way, in a dangerous way. Your words got fewer, your standards got sharper, your tolerance got expensive, and people noticed. Oh, they noticed. Maybe they couldn't explain it, but they felt it. They felt that you don't chase like you used to. They felt that you don't panic when someone pulls away. They felt that you can leave now. They felt that guilt doesn't move you the way it used to. They felt that access to you is no longer a guaranteed thing. And let me tell you something that'll make weak people nervous. When you stop reacting the way they trained you to react, they start losing control. That's when they call you cold. That's when they say you've changed. That's when they act like your boundaries are cruelty. That's when they bring up the old you, because the old you was easier to manipulate. But listen carefully. You were not born to be easy to exploit. You were not put here to be somebody's emotional punching bag. You were not created to keep proving your worth to people committed to misunderstanding you. You were not designed to keep shrinking so insecure people can feel tall. You were built for more than survival. You were built for command. You were built for impact. You were built to walk through chaos and come out with your soul sharper, not smaller. That's why the stuff that was supposed to ruin you ended up revealing you. Isn't that funny? They thought pressure would fold you. They thought betrayal would poison you. They thought isolation would finish you. They thought heartbreak would reduce you to a ghost of yourself. Instead, it stripped the nonsense out of you. You stopped needing applause. You stopped confusing attention for respect. You stopped begging people to see your value. You stopped explaining your pain to people who benefited from it. You stopped giving front row seats to people who only showed up to watch you bleed. And in that process, you became terrifying to anything fake. That's what people mean when they say some souls have a warning label. Not because you talk big, not because you act tough online, not because you threaten people. Because your energy says, clear as day, I survived things that would have turned most people into dust. Do not play with me like I'm still naive. That kind of presence shakes things. Even demons would think twice before crossing you. Not literal creatures with horns and fire. I'm talking about the demons people wear as personalities. The manipulator, the user, the liar, the jealous friend, the smiling traitor. The person who acts like your supporter in public, but studies your downfall in private. The one who gets weird when you win. The one who loves you most when you're doubting yourself and likes you least when you remember who you are. Those demons know energy. They can sense when somebody is easy prey. They can sense when somebody still needs validation. They can sense when somebody's loneliness makes them negotiable. They can sense when somebody's fear of abandonment is stronger than their self-respect. But when they come across you now, they hesitate because they can feel that you've been through enough to recognize a mask before it finishes smiling. They can feel that your pattern recognition is vicious now. They can feel that your forgiveness is no longer automatic. They can feel that your departure is real. They can feel that you don't just hear words anymore. You read motives, and that changes everything. See, people think power is loud. They think it's domination. They think it's flexing. They think it's some dramatic performance where everybody knows you're the strongest person in the room. Wrong. Real power is when your nervous system no longer panics at the thought of losing people who treat you wrong. Real power is when peace matters more to you than popularity. Real power is when you can sit in silence and still know exactly who you are. Real power is when rejection doesn't convince you to betray yourself. Real power is when somebody tries to bait you into old behaviors and you just don't bite. That right there, that's lethal, because the world runs on reaction, on impulse, on emotional leakage, on people being easy to trigger, easy to flatter, easy to trap. But once you master yourself, once you stop handing people the remote control to your emotions, you become difficult to mess with. And difficult people get respected. Maybe not loved by everybody, maybe not understood by everybody, but respected. There's a reason your enemies got quieter. Did you notice that? There's a reason some people stopped trying you the same way. There's a reason the fake concern started sounding less confident. There's a reason the passive-aggressive energy got more careful. There's a reason the ones who used to play in your face now test the temperature before speaking, because they can tell you're not standing in the same emotional place anymore. You used to be reachable through guilt. Now you're not. You used to be controllable through affection. Now you're not. You used to over-explain because you wanted to be understood. Now you understand that some people hear perfectly fine. They just benefit from pretending they don't. That realization alone will turn a soft-hearted person into a force of nature. And let's be honest, the world helped build this version of you. Every fake promise added steel to your spine. Every betrayal sharpened your instincts. Every lonely season taught you how to hold your own hand. Every public smile hiding private pain taught you discipline. Every time they counted you out taught you how to move in silence. Every time you had to rebuild without applause taught you how to become self-made in the deepest sense. That's why your comeback carries a different smell. It doesn't smell like ego. It smells like earned power. It smells like somebody who had every reason to collapse and still kept moving. It smells like somebody who got dragged through emotional warfare and came back with vision. It smells like somebody who stopped asking life for permission and started taking responsibility for the atmosphere around them. That's why when you speak now, it lands differently, because your words are not theory. They cost you something. They came out of nights nobody knows about. They came out of staring at ceilings, wondering how much more your heart could take. They came out of swallowing tears in places where breaking down wasn't an option. They came out of disappointments so deep they changed your relationship with trust forever. So when you say, "I'm not the one to play with," it doesn't sound like a line. It sounds like history, and history has weight. That's why your silence makes people nervous now, because silence from a healed fool means one thing. Silence from a sharpened soul means something else entirely. It means you noticed. It means you remembered. It means you're no longer available for nonsense. It means the game is over. It means whatever access they had to the old you has expired. That's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow, because some folks got addicted to your over-understanding nature. They got addicted to the way you gave grace before accountability. They got addicted to the way you doubted yourself before doubting them. They got addicted to the way you kept your standards low just to keep company. But you outgrew that. And growth is offensive to people who were feeding on your lack of it. Understand this. The moment you stop being convenient, some people will call you arrogant. The moment you stop bleeding where everyone can watch, some people will say you became emotionless. The moment you choose discipline over drama, some people will say you think you're better. Let them. People often insult what they can no longer access. You don't need to go to war with every misunderstanding. You don't need to clap back at every fake narrative. You don't need to prove your heart to people committed to misreading it. Sometimes the most disrespectful thing you can do to chaos is outgrow it so hard it can't recognize you anymore. That's the season you're in. You're not here to convince. You're here to become. Become so solid that manipulation slips off you. Become so calm that panic can't rent space in your chest. Become so sharp that confusion can't wear your face. Become so rooted that temporary people stop having permanent influence. Become so disciplined that your future starts obeying the standards your pain taught you. Because make no mistake, pain taught you standards. It taught you not to ignore red flags because someone is charming. It taught you not to call breadcrumbs love. It taught you not to keep translating disrespect into potential. It taught you not to hand your loyalty to people who haven't earned basic trust. It taught you that intuition whispers before disaster screams. It taught you that the body knows before the mouth admits it. It taught you that when something feels off, it usually is. Those lessons are expensive. Some people never learn them. Some people keep getting played because they're addicted to fantasy. They love the version of people they invented in their heads more than the truth standing in front of them. But not you anymore. Now you watch patterns. Now you listen to energy. Now you pay attention to consistency. Now you understand that real love doesn't confuse your nervous system. Now you understand that respect is not a bonus feature. It's the foundation. Now you understand that peace is not boring. Peace is luxury. That mindset alone separates you. Because a lot of people are still out here being chosen by everyone except themselves. Still betraying their gut for company. Still saying yes while their soul is screaming no. Still calling chaos chemistry. Still mistaking attention for care. Still letting empty people take up sacred space. You've moved past that. And do you know what happens when a person truly moves past survival patterns? They become hard to bait. You can't seduce them with cheap validation. You can't distract them with surface-level affection. You can't scare them with withdrawal. You can't trap them with inconsistency and call it mystery. You can't keep them in confusion and call it passion. They've seen too much. That's you now. You've seen what fake loyalty looks like. You've seen how envy hides behind compliments. You've seen how some people celebrate your wounds because it makes them feel less insecure. You've seen how people will call you selfish the moment you stop self-abandoning. You've seen how weak character always resents strong boundaries. So now you move different, not paranoid, prepared. There's a difference. Paranoia makes you fear everything. Preparation makes you respect reality. Preparation says, I can love deeply and still leave when the energy turns rotten. Preparation says, I can be compassionate without becoming available for abuse. Preparation says, I can forgive and still never open that door again. Preparation says, I can wish you well from a distance so far, it feels like another universe. That is grown power. That is dangerous peace. That is the type of energy that makes dark intentions rethink the mission. Because when you know yourself, really know yourself, games stop working, flattery stops working, threats stop working, silent treatment stops working, breadcrumbs stop working, half-love stops working, performative apologies stop working. Why? Because your standards are no longer negotiable when you're lonely. That's the real flex. Not money, not fame, not looking untouchable. Holding the line when your heart is hungry. Holding the line when you miss people who were bad for you. Holding the line when the familiar chaos starts looking romantic again. Holding the line when your old coping mechanisms come calling with sweet voices. That's where the war really is. And every time you choose yourself in that moment, you get stronger. Every time you walk away from what once had power over you, you get colder in the right way. Every time you refuse to abandon your peace just to feel chosen, you send a message to your own soul. I'm with you now. That changes a person at the core. Because once you become someone your own soul can trust, the whole world starts reading you differently. Your walk changes. Your eyes change. Your timing changes. Your language changes. The kind of people you attract changes. The kind of nonsense you tolerate disappears. That's why your life started getting quieter. Not emptier, cleaner. There's a big difference. Less noise, less fake urgency, less emotional chaos, less random access, less explaining, less proving, less entertaining disrespect just because you're trying to be nice. And with all that space, your real power had room to breathe. Your focus got stronger, your discipline got meaner, your intuition got louder, your self-respect got teeth. Now when something crosses you, you don't need a whole committee to verify what you felt. You don't need 10 more signs. You don't need closure delivered in perfect wording. You don't need somebody to confess what your spirit already caught. You just know. And that knowing, that clean, centered, unshakable knowing, that's what makes even demons pause. Because evil, fake energy, manipulative energy, predatory energy, whatever name you want to give it, it thrives on hesitation. It thrives on self-doubt. It thrives on people who don't trust their own eyes. It thrives on people who explain away their own pain. But when it meets somebody who has turned suffering into sight, the script falls apart. That's you. You are not scary because you want revenge. You are scary because you no longer need it. You are not powerful because you dominate. You are powerful because you are no longer easily dominated. You are not dangerous because you yell. You are dangerous because your boundaries don't shake when emotions rise. You are not intense because life was easy. You are intense because you survived what should have erased you and still kept your soul intact. That is rare, and rare things are either respected or attacked, sometimes both. So don't be surprised when your evolution makes insecure people uncomfortable. Don't be surprised when your standards expose people. Don't be surprised when your peace irritates those who fed on your confusion. Don't be surprised when your glow starts revealing who secretly hoped you'd stay broken. That's not your problem. Your responsibility now is not to become bitter. It's to become precise. Precise with your energy. Precise with your trust. Precise with your yes. Precise with your no. Precise with where your attention goes. Precise with what gets access to your inner world. Because attention is expensive, energy is sacred, and your peace was paid for in blood, tears, swallowed anger, lonely rebuilding, and silent prayers nobody heard but you. Stop handing it out like it's cheap. You are not the same person who once tolerated things just because you were afraid to lose people. You are not the same person who confused being needed with being loved. You are not the same person who stayed soft with sharp people and called it maturity. You are not the same person who kept hoping broken character would eventually become safe. No. Now you can feel danger faster. Now you can smell envy quicker. Now you can hear disrespect under the joke. Now you can see manipulation behind the compliment. Now you can sense when somebody is trying to study your weaknesses instead of honor your presence. And because you can sense it, you don't freeze anymore. You move. You detach. You redirect. You protect. You continue.